What's going on, everybody? Perry and Eric. Finally, the whole gang's here. It feels like it's been, what, like 3 months since we got all together? Ironically, we're all here for fucking Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Out of all films that we could have all gotten together for, it's this one.
It's this one, yeah.
So obviously, huge film. Gonna be one of the box office breakers of the year. I don't know if it'll be the box office record holder of the year. I think Joker is on good pace to maintaining that record.
In game.
In game, yeah.
It's guaranteed top 5 of the year. Of box office.
Yeah.
Because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, of course. It's a major Star Wars movie, so it's gonna be guaranteed that sweet money. But yeah, so it's directed by J.J. Abrams, and is it written by J.J. Abrams? I don't know.
Yeah, it is him and one other guy.
Okay.
I think it's Colin Trevorrow.
Okay.
No, that's not him.
Oh, it's not him?
It's a J.J. Abrams and some other dude.
Oh,
Okay, well, it's not important, honestly.
Yeah.
But so let me start off by saying that, like, so obviously critics haven't been too kind to this film. I think right now it has like a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not the worst score ever. Like, it's not like, you know, it's pretty close to barely fresh, but still not the best score, especially compared to the two previous sequels. I think Last Jedi was in the 70s or the 60s.
No, I think Last Jedi's in the 90s.
Holy
It's really well loved by critics.
Yeah, audiences hated it,
Yeah.
but critics loved it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Force Awakens and Last Jedi are in the 90s.
Okay. Well, as far as The Last Jedi goes, I'm not one of those people who absolutely hate that film. I respect it for certain reasons, but I also, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's certain things about the film that I do not like, and I think just do not work. But overall, I don't hate it. I think there's things about the movie that are pretty awesome, but Force Awakens, I think it's a fine movie. Definitely could have done more to be a little bit more creative and more original and not just kind of copying A New Hope. But overall, like, I dig it. I don't think it's a bad movie.
Yeah, I feel about the same.
So now we get to Rise of Skywalker, and like I said, critics haven't been taken nicely to it, which is a huge concern going into it, because out of the sequels, this is really the only one that's gotten shit on by critics. And the Star Wars fan base absolutely hates this film. Like, actual Star Wars fans that I've talked to and seen on the internet, they absolutely hate this film. I mean, every single one of them has trashed it to pieces. And a lot of them are saying that this is the worst Star Wars film that's ever been produced. And, you know, but obviously I don't pay them too much mind, because it's like you can't really please most of them. It's just like they could really come out with anything and they'll hate it. But still, I was concerned about it just because of a lot of the divisiveness and a lot of the hate it was getting. But that being said, we finally got out of the screening, and just my personal opinion, guys, I didn't hate this movie. I definitely didn't hate it, but I didn't really like it either. Yeah. Like, this is not a film that I would ever really watch again, and it's probably my least favorite of the new sequels. I guess I have to give it some time on that, because I'll probably be battling that between this and The Last Jedi, because I'm not really sure, but this definitely was, like, I can't confidently say that I like this movie, or that it's a great movie, or even a good movie. Like, me saying that this is a decent movie is being really kind to it, but I definitely don't hate it, because I do think there are some redeemable aspects of this film, and I nowhere near think that this is anywhere as bad as the prequels. Just my personal opinion. The prequels are just like the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
So, of course, comparing it to the lowest of the low, it's not hard to beat that. But there are things about this movie that really pissed me off. And honestly, the biggest thing that pissed me off about this movie, just my personal opinion, the thing that just bugged me the most was the writing overall.
Yeah.
The screenplay overall, in terms of the storytelling, and just the dialogue. Like, the dialogue, I mean, in my personal opinion, was probably just, in terms of me being frustrated and completely annoyed at the film, has to do with the dialogue, because the dialogue was just so lazy. Like, especially in the first act of this film. Honestly, the first act of this film, like, it was nearly unbearable. Like, I was like, damn, this really is... For a second, I was like, this really is as bad as everybody is saying it. Like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is horrible. Like, this is a bad movie. Like, every piece of dialogue, because, like, I'm not going to give it away, but, like, the first 3 minutes of this film, I was like, okay, this isn't that terrible, because it kind of starts off with something that's kind of neat, even though it's a little, you know, pandery to the fan service and stuff. But after that kind of cool 3 minutes, it just goes downhill as it starts focusing on Rey and her shit. And it's just the dialogue was so bad. Like, every piece of dialogue, especially in the first act, is just there to spoon feed you information about the film's, like, backstory, about the film's current story, just certain character information, plot information, like, and it's not even done in a way that even seems natural. Like, everything just seems like it's obviously just there just to make sure the audience understands what's happening. And it was just so annoying because it felt so artificial. I felt like I'm watching a damn movie. And for like a good 35 to 40 minutes, I just like completely just not immersed into what I'm seeing, because it's just so in your face, ham-fisted dialogue that just felt so unnatural. Couldn't stand it, guys. Like, I'm serious. Like, it was really, really annoying to me, trying to sit through all that shit. But then for me, like, the second act comes around, it's a little bit more engaging because there are some more moments that I found redeeming in a way. It wasn't just a bunch of like ham-fisted dialogue, even though honestly that dialogue is kind of sprinkled out throughout the entire film and it really pisses you off. But there are some things about it that I enjoyed. And then the third act comes around and it's kind of like a mixed bag of things that I was not on board with, but then some things that I thought were done okay. But overall, like, this film, in terms of the writing, was, to me, the weakest aspect. I really did not enjoy the writing to this film. Obviously, the aesthetic value to this, and the film editing, and the special effects and all that, I thought that was pretty solid. That's really the most I can say in terms of complimenting it. Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, to me, was the best aspect of this film. Pretty much every time that he was on screen, and it didn't feel flat. I felt like I was watching something that was quality in a way. Then the film goes and does something with his character at the very end that, is just cookie cutter, and it's not really creative, and you can tell that Disney, and they're just kind of compromising good storytelling for just something that's serviceable. And it's just really upsetting to, get products like this where have more potential, but just end up falling flat in a way because they just want to make safe content. And that was quite upsetting. But so that's all I'll say so far. I didn't hate this movie, but there are quite many aspects of it that are hard to just, excuse and enjoy. So, you want to say something, Perry?
Yeah, it's like going into this film, it's like I knew I wasn't expecting anything that would like subvert my expectations, and I would be okay with the film being safe if, like you said, the dialogue just wasn't so insulting. Like in terms of dialogue, like this film just treats you like a freaking moron, and it's so frustrating. And to see these characters bicker back and forth, like I'm sitting there, I'm like, am I supposed to be engaged by this? It lacked a lot of the emotional engagement I wanted. And when you're not emotionally engaged, when you're not emotionally invested, it just feels bleh, you don't really feel anything.
I think they're pandering to the lowest common denominator.
Exactly. I can't say I hate this film, and I can't say I love this film either, because I feel empty. Like, I don't really have strong feelings about it. Like you said, I agree with everything with Kylo Ren. I absolutely loved Adam Driver. Like, I know this is going to piss a lot of people off, but Adam Driver is too good for the this new Star Wars trilogy.
Honestly, he was the only reason why I decided to get my ass up and watch this movie.
Yeah, same here. He's way too good for this Star Wars trilogy, though. And I really I hate J.J. Abrams as a filmmaker. Like, I hate him so much because he wants to be Spielberg. He wants to be this great genre director. And for them, it's more about the spectacle, but they don't pay attention to their scripts. And this Star Wars, people treat Star Wars like it's different from any other mainstream film. It's not. these Star Wars films are no different than pretty much every mainstream film I've seen. It's more about the spectacle, it's about the visual effects, but when it comes to the script, they really don't give a shit.
There's so many action sequences in this movie that I was just like, I don't feel anything here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel any tension.
I was bored.
Yeah.
I was legitimately bored watching the film. It felt like a 4-hour movie. Like,
Yeah.
it's 2.5 hours long, but it felt so much longer. And everything they did in the film, like, I knew it was coming. Like, I just knew it was coming. I could even predict the next line. If someone said one line, I could predict what the character that they're talking to, I could predict what they were going to say back.
Yeah.
What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying. I disagree in the sense, however, that Adam Driver, he's never bad. He's definitely never the weak aspect or a weak actor.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel as if the movie and J.J. Abrams and the script severely undercut him.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he wasn't given enough to shine at all. I felt like his character was a lot less interesting in this film than he was in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens.
I can see that.
I feel like they missed a lot of opportunities with him because I really love Kylo Ren as a character as they set him up. But his payoff and the scenes that he got in him just didn't satisfy me in the slightest. And I think my biggest issue with the film is just that there's nothing interesting about it. It really is just kind of fan service the movie.
Yeah.
And it's not fan service in the sense of like, oh, hey, do you remember this thing? You remember this from the original trilogy, right? It's not that. It's that they are playing every safe option that they possibly can for you to walk out of the film enjoying it. They made this film to appeal to everybody who didn't enjoy The Last Jedi.
Yeah, it was an apology for Last Jedi. That's what they should call it. Because a lot of the writing was just pointing out, like, oh, what you heard in The Last Jedi, what you saw in The Last Jedi, it doesn't matter. This is what matters. This is the epic conclusion of Star Wars.
Right.
You know, it was so obnoxious.
And me and Perry talked about this while we were on their way to record this video. This film has a major problem of not having true consequences.
Yeah.
They'll have something happen, obviously completely, like, I'm going to leave it completely vague because people don't like spoilers, obviously. But something would happen, and like a minute later, maybe less, it'll be completely retconned.
Yeah, I hated
Yeah,
that.
It
me
happens
too.
so much during this movie.
Yeah, and there's one moment in particular that happens like in the first act-ish with a certain iconic character, and it's just like I was just like dumbfounded that like 1 second you chose to do a big thing, which I like when it happened I was like, damn, like I felt like something there, but then the fact that they erased it in a minute, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
Right. There's another one. I'm going to leave it completely vague. There's another one that happens in the third act that involves a pretty big character, and then they completely like retcon it. Like, right after it's like, what?
Have you seen such... I've never seen such thick plot armor in my life. I don't think I ever have.
Right.
Because the plot armor on just all these characters were so thick.
Yeah.
And when you decide to go with really thick plot armor, there's no tension, there's no stakes. So the audience is just going to tune out because why should I be invested in a film where I know there are going to be no consequences?
And then the one character that they decide to kill off, not saying who it is, was the wrong character. Like, they shouldn't even killed off that character. Like, it's just, it would, like, that character had a lot of potential for maybe future Star Wars movies, like decades down the road. I don't know, because they're gonna make more Star Wars movies sometime in the future. They're going to. In my opinion, I think they're going to.
I'm not watching another Star Wars
they're
movie.
going to.
Yeah.
I think this is it. Like, this is it for me. I'm not watching another Star Wars film.
Really?
Not just anything they make, but the original trilogy which I liked when I was younger, but I just don't care about Star Wars anymore. It is just another franchise.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are going to be really upset by me saying that, but I'm finished. I'm finished with the trilogy. I'm going to go watch science fiction film with, depth to
And by the way, like, I should have made this clear, like, at the very beginning of this, but, like, I'm not somebody who's like attached or loyal to like the heavy lore of Star Wars.
None of us are.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not going into this wanting some sort of loyalty to the lore. Like I honestly watched this film at face value, just wanting a good movie.
Me too.
And
Basically same, yeah.
and it just like it was even like not very good on that level either. So again, like it's not. I don't think this is a horrible movie. Like I guess I don't know if I'm alone on that. I don't think it's horrible.
I don't think it's horrible.
Lackluster is the first word that pops in my mind.
Yeah, I just think it's.
Lackluster.
Uninteresting is
Yeah.
also another.
I just think it's super average and safe, and
It's very safe.
and that was like the biggest problem with it is that there's no stakes. You don't feel like any real tension because this film has a habit of trying to be risky, but then like just undoing it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's so annoying. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I kind of like. Nope, they took it away.
Yeah, I would hate that because like when the moment would happen and I'm like, oh, I feel something, and then it's like just shat on it in a second.
They pull the rug out from underneath your feet. That's what they do.
Yeah, it was quite fucking annoying.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, even if you want to talk about this as a Star Wars fan, which I don't really call myself, like, I feel like they completely like gave some characters not the treatment they deserve. Not in terms of like, oh, it's not like their character. It's just characters that people like. They're not. Things will happen to them, and then they'll just not get brought back, and you're just like, so that was their arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's kind of annoying.
I mean, like I said, like there are redeemable aspects of this movie, and there's not like that many of them. But
There's
it's
nothing special about it. That's
Yeah.
just the thing.
The score was the best part of the film.
Yeah, I like the score, but John Williams is rarely ever bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally like Kylo Ren aspect the most.
But they didn't give him a lot to work with. Like, I liked him too, but they didn't give him much to work with, you know?
I mean, I liked everything involving him except for what they did with him at the end. Like everything else, like I think is pretty good. The score from John
agree.
Williams is fine, but it's not like something. It sounds like a John Williams score. Like I'm not going to praise it that much.
I mean, I agree with that, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
agree with
trying to
that, too.
find, the positives in this film. Because this film didn't give me a lot to chew on, It's like, I'm going to forget this film in 2 days.
You want to know who my favorite characters were in this film? Fucking Poe. He was my favorite character in
Poe?
the film. This movie.
I liked him, but he was kind of annoying too, man.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, he wasn't amazing.
There
he had
was-
those fucking one-liners and all of those. These dialogues that sometimes was just so fucking hard.
All the bickering with fucking Finn, bland ass John Boyega, who I've always hated.
I want to like him, man. I don't want to be that person who just goes like, oh, he's shit. It's like, no. But they really don't give him a lot to do. Ugh, it's so frustrating. It's like, I want to like you so much, man, but he's just the good guy who's like, I want to do the right thing. I'm gonna do the right thing. Where's Ray? Is Ray okay?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
I have something to tell to Ray. I'm not gonna tell anybody else.
Can you stop being so one note? It's
And
not
then like,
his fault.
and one thing I hated about this movie too, like this is one thing I hated. There was like this moment where like they bring in this extra fucking character out of nowhere to try to accompany John Boyega's character.
Yeah, I hated that too.
And I was like, this is so fucking
They
forced.
did the same thing with Poe too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
And I'm like, this is so like sidetracked and a waste of time. Like I hated that. Like there was like a moment in the movie where like they needed to get somewhere and they couldn't because of certain like circumstances. And they're like, oh, I guess we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow. And I was like, no. I want to go further with this plot,
Yeah.
and yet now I know we're gonna have to stay the night somewhere and talk about fucking bullshit.
This movie's already 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Let's move it along, people.
And it was involving that extra character that was just there to try to boost up Boyega's character, like him and his purpose, I guess. Because the film like knew that he had like no purpose, so they're like, hey, maybe this character will give him some fucking power. But it didn't do anything. It was just a waste of time and it felt so forced that I couldn't stand it.
This whole trilogy is just like has such a problem with like bringing characters and doing nothing with them.
Well, the thing is, it was doomed from the start because Colin Trevorrow, J.J. Abrams, and Rian Johnson, they should have sat down and hashed out what they wanted for the trilogy. But no,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to retcon that in the next film.
This almost makes me wish that Rian Johnson directed this.
Me too.
I mean, just imagine like if Rian Johnson had his hands on this. Yeah, there probably would have been some things you didn't like about it, but at least there probably would have been some stakes here and there.
Yeah.
It would have subverted what you were expecting out of it. And sure, not all those subversions would have been good, but they would at least gave you something.
Yeah.
Something interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something risky.
Yeah, Rian Johnson's a way better director and writer than J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams is fucking, spectacle, wannabe Spielberg.
I was done with the spectacle. I'm like, I've had enough.
Same here.
Milking nostalgia. It's just like, there's a lot of fan service moments too that were really fucking aggravating.
Yeah, there is in this whole trilogy, but all the fucking big fights, I'm like, I've seen this already. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want good character shit. Like, I really do just want, like, a few lightsaber battles here and there, but honestly, just more good character interactions and interesting character moments.
Yeah, and the characters are just so one note. Poe and Finn, especially.
Yeah.
It's like, like you said, if we had some great character moments, we had maybe some internal conflict, from within. But I don't even feel like I really know these characters. After 3 films with them, the only character I really feel like I know is Kylo Ren. The rest of them are just so one note.
So I think one thing we have to address, because the comments are going to say, is like, they're going to be like, don't you think Rey was given character development? How do we feel about that?
Rey?
Rey, because she had an internal conflict too. I'm not saying it's good, but it was there.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing about Rey is like, it's just predictable. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Like, it's not like her development was like horrible per se, or not. It's just not. When it's predictable in the way that it is, it becomes less meaningful and not as rich as you wanted, because like, you know what's going to happen with her character. So how can I really appreciate the development that the film gave me if you see her character growth coming from the first fucking minute of this film?
Yeah.
Right.
Not to mention just so overpowered and, like I said, plot armored she is.
Like, I would have loved like some more risk in this. Like, this film like, in its bones had potential, but then it just went every predictable route, every safe route that you could go with, and like, I don't know, I would have loved for things to be just like a bit more risky. Like, it's all I'm asking is some risk.
Yeah. And the twists that were in there were so like painstakingly obvious.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what they were, but it was just so painstakingly
I'm the spy.
Yeah.
That's not spoilery, because you don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh god.
But somebody in this movie is like, I'm the spy.
I saw it fucking coming. I was like, oh my god, because he doesn't have a character, so of course they're gonna throw it to him.
I rolled my eyes when that happened, and I think that was another moment. I think that was the moment where I was like, God, I'm so fucking done with this movie.
Yeah. I mean, apparently our audience loved it because they were clapping like crazy.
It was
oh
so
my god,
annoying.
everybody there fucking
People were
adored
clapping
it.
during the movie. The guy that was sitting next to Eric,
I
wanted
hated
to,
him. He was so annoying.
I wanted to get up and like literally beat the shit out of him.
What was he doing? He was just clapping through everything?
Well, first of all, he had to fucking commentate through he could never just sit still. He was constantly just fidgeting with his phone, talking with his fucking dumb girlfriend.
Oh my god.
And he's supposed to be the real Star Wars fan, yet he's on his phone and he's talking throughout the entire movie. He bought one of those little collector's combos.
Well, that
fucking
look,
shill.
He's the type of person. he's the type of person that J.J. Abrams wrote the script for.
Because every time something big would happen, like the big emotional moments,
yeah.
he'd be like, oh. Oh wow!
But the thing is, he was representative of pretty much the entire audience, though. They were all doing shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what is so like? It's like y'all never seen a movie before.
Right.
You've never seen a movie, and let alone a Star Wars movie. The thing I remember when I watched The Force Awakens, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give Disney the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're gonna take this series in interesting directions. Nope. 2 films in, I was like, okay, The Last Jedi was a dud, but surely this third film should fucking bring interesting thing. Nope, I didn't get any of it.
Disney's grasping at straws. I mean, don't just look at Rise of Skywalker or fan service the movie. Look at what they're coming out with. Soul and Onward. Those films look fucking terrible.
I haven't seen the trailer for Soul.
You saw the trailer for Onward. It was in front.
I saw the trailer for Onward, and I gotta say, for a Pixar movie, that did not look interesting.
I do not want to see that.
And after I got excited at first, I'm like, oh, Pixar, cool. But the whole trailer went by, and I'm like,
what the hell was that?
this just seems like a generic Disney movie. It doesn't seem like Pixar at all.
Yeah. But going back to Star Wars, it's like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but at least we're not those people who are like, oh, it's the worst movie ever. It's the worst Star Wars film ever
It's not
made.
terrible. And honestly, I think if you're just a casual moviegoer wanting to watch the next big movie, I think you're going to come out of it really enjoying it. Like, that's all I can say. But, like, anybody else that's not that, I don't really see you really liking this movie all that much.
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
You want to know another huge thing I hated about this film? I hated the implication. Like, they don't demonstrate that things are important. They just say that things are important. It kind of goes with the whole exposition thing.
Yeah.
But like the beginning, this isn't a spoiler because you know from the trailer, they're like, Palpatine, he's been here the whole time. I'm like, of course he has, even though he hasn't shown his fucking face in the last two films.
Yeah.
Now
All of a sudden he's relevant. Yeah.
Like we said, they're pulling out all the stops to police the audiences.
Yeah, that was really
aggravating. What was also really aggravating, this is not really a spoiler either because it just happens. It's literally in the title card of the movie.
It's on the poster too.
Yeah, when they talk about Palpatine, like he is introduced so early in this movie. Literally the first second of this movie, he is introduced. He is shown to be a big part of this movie, and I'm just like, damn, you couldn't have had some sort of suspenseful build up to his iconic character. It's just like Palpatine's back. It's like it just totally ruins his any kind of like build up to his character, in my opinion. Like, I would have, like, if you're going to bring him back, cool. But, like, damn, did you have to have him in the fucking title card of this movie? When we weren't even introduced to him in the first two fucking movies of this?
Yeah, and it was just annoying how, like, the ending... Oh, well, never mind. It's on spoiler territory. But anyways, let's just say that the conflict and, like, the end conflict and who they're up against is not satisfying. It's not satisfying in the least bit. It's just like, well, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
So...
I'll agree.
We're basically almost all on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll probably have different ratings, though, I think.
Probably.
Even though we're pretty much all on the same page.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really going to sum up my thoughts because you guys already know, because we already said everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and give my grade. I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, it's probably too generous, but I'll give it a 5 out of 10. I'm probably going to give it the highest grade of anybody that's here.
Probably. What do you give it, Eric?
So I'm giving J.J. Abrams' masterpiece, the Rise of Skyscraper, a 5 out of 10.
Oh shit! Really?
Yes.
Oh, awesome! I'm not alone. Awesome.
That was my preconceived grade, and I think I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is, like, I was thinking about giving it a little lower. But thinking about it, it's like, it's a well-made movie, even though it's not a very well-written movie. I think I'm on the same page with you guys. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Oh, shit. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So we're all actually on the same page.
Basically on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the rating I thought of when I walked out of the theater,
Me too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is, like, this is us having mixed feelings on it. Like, we are actually a lot more positive than a lot of the people coming out of it.
Yeah.
So
Again, I don't think this is anywhere near as horrible as the prequels. Like,
No,
the
not
prequels
even
are so
close.
fucking bad. Like, it's ridiculous because they're lacking in both the screenwriting aspect and the whole aesthetic aspect too. Like, the aesthetics are bad too. This at least has decent
the
aesthetic.
prequels have aged horribly.
They're a joke. They're fucking jokes of films.
Yeah.
They really are. The dialogue, just everybody knows that.
I mean, I don't know. I guess, and honestly, I don't even see how Star Wars, like, hardcore fans even excuse the prequels because they even ruin the lore with stuff like midichlorian counts in your blood. Like, how is that? Like, that ruins a lot of what the Force is about. But they apologize for it. Like, it's somehow like that's like a really horrible thing to do to your fucking Star Wars movie, and somehow.
Not to mention stilted acting, terrible special
Everything
effects,
else.
awful dialogue.
Flat camera work.
Yeah.
Everything is horrible.
Yeah, really everything. I struggle to find anything to praise about those films.
Ian McGregor.
Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan. Good job.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Even then, it didn't really. I don't know. Like, it doesn't take that much to play his character, I guess.
Even though he had shit dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it when he does that.
I hate you.
That's Anakin.
I know. I just
No, yeah.
that line, the delivery.
saw him killing Yinglings.
Fucking Star Wars.
I love the meme where he's actually drinking like a whole case of Yinglings, like the beer.
Star Wars. I mean, it's like sand. It's warm and coarse,
Coarse.
and gets
And it
everywhere.
gets everywhere.
One of my favorites is fucking Natalie Portman. You're breaking my heart, Anakin.
You literally stole a line from Tommy Wiseau's movie, The Room. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Oh, God. But yeah, guys, that's all we got to say about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Oh, God, it's finally over.
Yep.
It felt like forever in
the
there.
fucking trilogy's done. We
Yeah.
can now
Yeah.
stop with this shit.
Oh no, there's gonna be 6 months of like divided fans like yelling at one another. People be like, "Oh, you're an idiot for liking this movie. No, you're a moron for not liking it." That's gonna happen for 6 months, just like with The Last Jedi, and then everyone's gonna move on,
Yeah.
and it'll all feel like a bad dream.
I give it another, like, I don't know, maybe a decade until they start this franchise up again. We'll see.
This is the end of the Skywalker saga, but they're just gonna keep out pumping more and more. And you know who's not gonna be in the theater watching them? This guy right here. Because I'm not a filthy casual.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that shirt?
Oh, someone gave it to me as a Christmas
Nice.
gift.
That's awesome.
That's a
Filthy
great
casual.
Christmas
That's
present.
awesome. But alright, guys, if you really enjoyed what we had to say about The Rise of Skywalker, I don't even know how the comments are going to be with this. We'll find
No
out.
idea.
If you really enjoyed what we had to
The
say,
guy sitting in the passenger seat should die.
everybody in this car apparently should die. But yeah, if you really enjoyed what we had to say, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film related content.